library board will be called to order, and I would ask everyone to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Just got here just in time, Mr. Cherukuri. Okay, now we'll have roll call.
Trustee Crawford?
Here.
Trustee Dooley?
Here.
Trustee Garamurti?
Here.
Trustee Stirring?
Here.
Trustee Cherukuri?
Present.
Trustee Bartlett is here, and Student Representative Carcarla.
All right, thank you very much. And now I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Anyone wish to make that motion? Mr. Cherukuri? Okay. All righty. And a second? All right. Gudomurti? Getting better. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for the roll call.
Trustee Dooley?
Yes.
Trustee Garamurti?
Yes.
Trustee Stirring?
Yes.
Trustee Bartlett votes yes. Trustee Cherukuri?
Yes.
Trustee Crawford?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, the consent agenda, I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as it's printed. I'll look to this side of the
I'll
table.
make that motion.
Okay, I have a motion. And looking for a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to approve. Any discussion? Nope. Seeing none, then please call the roll.
Trustee Garamurti?
Yes.
Trustee Stirring?
Yes.
Trustee Bartlett votes yes. Trustee Cherukuri?
Yes.
Trustee Crawford?
Yes.
Trustee Dooley?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, public comment. I don't know if anybody's sitting outside there and they wish to say anything, but in order to hear all citizen comments at a reasonable hour, the library board requests that speakers respect the 3-minute time limit. This is not a question and answer session. However, it's an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the library board. Citizens must state their first, last name, and address. And I'm waiting. Doesn't look like anyone's going to come forward tonight. Okay. Reports. And now we'll go right to our student representative report. Carcala.
I'll start off with our February report, and the only key between library program was the tail wagging's reading buddies, but it was canceled due to the library's early closure on February 22nd. And then in February, there were 541 guests who visited Teen Space, and there were no Teen Space conducted on February 20th to the 23rd. Moving on to the TAB update, the TAB meeting was held on February 24th, and the meeting started with a welcome and an icebreaker to help to get to know each other. Then the teens worked on craft making paper flowers, and then the remainder of the time was spent sharing their favorite teen books and making decorations for Teen Stop for the upcoming March's Reading Month. There were 20 people in attendance. And then some upcoming programs are SAT practice test on April 15th, Teen Advisory Board meeting on April 21st, and Tail Wagging Reading Buddies on April 26th. The February display featured young adult romance books, and on the 15th, Miss Gojak, Miss Farkas, and myself met just to go over how things were going on. They asked me if I had any questions, and we just kind of caught up to see how things would go on for the next year, and I think it went pretty well. We also discussed the strategic planning retreat, and I was able to make it to that past couple of days, and it was good. Thank you.
Great. Anybody have any questions or comments about his report? It's always very thorough. Okay, we have a question here or comment.
Just a comment. I just wanted to appreciate him doing, single-handed, especially. So I really, being in high school, I completely understand it's not easy. So thank you for the extra efforts that you're doing to keep it going well.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. Yep.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I just had a question. I'm glad we're doing the SAT practice tests and stuff like that. Just curious how you felt from because you should be around that.
Yeah.
Timing-wise, are we doing it the right time? Things like that?
I think
it's on target with when they offer it for the schools as well.
Yeah, just because now SAT prep, all these kids are prepping in different periods, and so
it would be helpful, but maybe for this one in particular, it would have been better to have it a little bit earlier because our school sanctioned SATs on April 11th. So it'll be a little bit after, but there's still SAT in like June and May and stuff like that, so it'll still be helpful. But since the SAT is like mandatory for 11th graders on April 11th, it might have been more helpful to have it a little bit earlier, but it's still going to be helpful.
And then it's been 100 years since I took it, but now my understanding is it's electronic and people schedule when they take it, is that right? More often, or you can rather?
Yeah, you schedule
It's
it
not like
online.
just 3 times a year like in the old days, right?
No, you can sign up
Take
for
it up to
days.
7 times.
Yeah, I think unlimited.
You
and
can
it's
take it as many times.
paper-based.
Right, and they take
Paper.
the best scores.
Yes, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
paper-based, and you
Yeah,
can
it's
take it
paper.
at any time after ninth, I mean, in fact, even 8th grade,
Yeah.
whenever you can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just curious, because I know kids are prepping at different times now and stuff like that. Are we hitting the right time, so?
Yeah, there's almost every month, I think 10 out of 12 months there's SAT, and then ACT is also almost 10 or 9 out of 12 months, so it'll be helpful no matter when it is.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thanks very much for your,
Thank you.
once again, a very thorough report.
Thank you.
We always look forward to that.
Next week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy
Yeah,
spring
good luck.
break.
Oh, yeah, does it start, spring break start next week?
Yes.
Oh, that's why you're smiling so big tonight. That's why,
The
okay,
fact that he's here means his bracket's already broken, I'm guessing.
okay. Well, thanks so much. Okay, so I have considerable things to discuss here in the president's report. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is the reflection from the board members, but I'm going to speak first, actually. So, our strategic planning data provided by our chosen vendor, Rethinking Libraries, is collected now. And we are now the proud owners of a hefty stack, and I'm going to hold it up so everybody can see, a hefty stack of information from a large cross-section of the community, plus staff and community organizations, and a lot of people contributed to all this information. So I want to thank all of the individuals who took the time to fill out the somewhat lengthy survey, because we even had some comments about that in the data. And I also want to thank the focus groups and the people that were invited and attended the retreats. There was a tremendous effort also by staff, and I noticed this quite a while ago, right when it came out, to promote and collect surveys from a wide number of library users as well as non-users. I mean, we want to know why people don't use the library as well as the ones that do. So thanks to all of you, we have this huge collection of valuable knowledge that will assure the future of Novi goals, our Novi Library goals, are in line with community priorities and needs. This information is valuable not only for our immediate future, but also will dictate planning, I believe, for years to come. I also want to thank our board's strategic planning committee for their diligence. And so that was Chairman Bartlett, of course, and then Member Gruamurti and also Ms. Dooley. Thank you so much for all your work, because I know all the extra meetings, the extra hours, the extra reading, and even the vetting of the companies to do the survey took considerable amount of time and effort. So I want to thank you all for that. So we've seen almost all of the results. So now it's time to tap into the power, I say, of survey data analysis to make some sense of the results. You know, even for experts, and this has been my experience anyway, it can be hard to analyze insights in raw data, particularly since our raw data, and we can't even agree on whether it's called data or data. I don't really know, but whatever it is, it's the information that we collected. And anyway, that's why our consultant is going to be spending the next few weeks researching and analyze all of that information, and they admitted it was quite lengthy. They're going to be analyzing it all, and then we'll present a strategic plan to the board. You know, when I first received the board packet, probably like you, when I got the electronic version from Julie, or from Director Farkas, I should say, I was so anxious to review the large findings booklet, especially all the individual comments. So why is it, I wonder, that if you read over 900 positive comments from individuals, you come all of a sudden face to face with that one negative comment, no matter how small it is, all you can think about for days, or for me anyway, all I could think about for days, and human nature, I guess, causes us to focus on too much on that one little negative comment, and I couldn't remember anything that anybody positive said. I could only focus on that one negative comment. So the more I thought about it, and I read through some comments again, the more I thought about it, though, as I read a few comments, and this is an example about the noise the teens make, okay? Because we heard that in a couple different comments, that the teens were noisy. And the more I realized that a major challenge, I think, for us and our staff is providing services and programs for 8 clearly defined generations of people. 8 clearly defined generations. Each of these generations have been programmed to value certain things, such as, I am from the silent generation. So I was born in between somewhere, I'll let you figure it out, 1925 and 1945. So I'm in the silent generation. My library experience and my things that I was programmed to value was that when I went to the library, and for over 25 years going to the library when I was younger, library was a very no-nonsense place. It was particularly quiet. It was a very, very quiet place. And I would go there and I would look through the files hurriedly, find a book, hope I hadn't offended a librarian in some way by doing something that I didn't even know what the rules were, but that's what made me so uncertain. I would wait nervously for my library card to be looked at and be accepted. I was worried about acceptance of my library card, and I don't know why, but I did. I guess it was because of the stern librarians that we saw back in the day. But then I would hurry outside with a sigh of relief, actually, that I was even able to borrow a book. I mean, that was the feeling that I had when I went to the library and was growing up with a kid. I'm with a generation of people who come to the library today, but who also place strong emphasis on rules. We prefer face-to-face communication. And when growing up, we knew very few, if any, people who were a different race, who were a different religion, who were anything different than us, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. That's what we were programmed with. So Generation Z, that's the generation that's making noise at the library. So the people that are creating the library noise were born between 1995 and 2012, and now their ages 10 to 27. They only communicate by smartphone and email. They are the first generation to experience and cope with cyberbullying and other internet-related issues, along with school violence and the climate debates. Diversity is their norm. Many of them are coming from mixed-race families. Diversity is what they're all about. They are the most politically progressive generation yet, and it is a huge body of people. They are less fazed than any previous generation by difference in race, sexual orientation, or religion. So here we are, the silent generation, and Generation Z are coming to the Novi Library at the same time. What do you think will happen, especially when they're approached by staff that, these two generations meeting at the library at the same time are being served by staff who are likely millennials. They are from a different generation altogether, aged 28 to 42. That's sort of, yes, 28 to 42. And they want everybody just to be nice to each other, and they want a socially friendly work environment. And they also have very different values, things that they were programmed with, very different from my silent generation and different from Generation Z. But they can identify more to Generation Z than I can. I'm the person going to the library that needs a lot of help with technology, has a lot of questions about technology, and really need a lot of talking to, I guess. And we want to my generation, the silent generation, wants to report all rule breaking going on at the library. It's just part of the mission of what we feel like we should be doing. So you may begin to see why, when you read the comments, why there might be some need to take note of the generational differences that I'm not sure we discuss. When we talk about diversity, we don't really discuss the generations, which is a big part of why we might have some conflict or some kind of issues at the library. So, our staff is dealing not only with the different generations of people, but they're also dealing and trying to help people with cultural differences, different races, people that don't speak English. I mean, there's all kinds, people that use sign language as their language. So there's a lot of pressure put on the staff to do this, and there's, each generation wants to be heard. So I'm thinking that it would be wise for us even to do some training about the generations, and I'm sure there's somebody that can speak to this, some expert on the topic. I know that there used to be someone, because I used to show a video all about generations when I was doing some workshops, and I just think this is something we need to really help staff with this, to help them understand the various different generations and what those generations are going to be expecting when they come to the library. So anyway, those are just a few examples to understand why I think we need to understand more about the values and along with the culture of each one of the patrons that comes to the library. So before I open the floor for any board members to comment, I would like to ask Strategic Planning Chairman Bartlett to bring the board up to date with strategic planning process, as well as talk to us a little bit maybe about the retreat, and then other members from the committee also could chime in before the other members of the board might have something to say also. So I'll turn it over to you, Chairman Bartlett.
Okay, this is going to replace any committee reports from the strategic committee.
Yeah.
So if it gets a little bit long, I just want to let the people know that this is the strategic committee's report for the evening. Essentially, we had a retreat the last 2 days in the evening of Tuesday and morning of Wednesday. Novi was represented by a little over 30 individuals from the community representing various constituencies. This is the largest group that Rethinking Library has had in the retreat. Also, our response rate was one of the largest amounts of data that they have ever dealt with. So we had great response from our community. We had representatives of Novi City staff, Novi Police, the Novi Schools, School Board, and students. Fox Run, large number of our library staff, and a considerable number of members from just the public at large. The report distributed in your packet, as we've indicated, is raw data. We went through a little bit of that raw data. Primarily in the session, we covered the summary pages, so we did not go through this page by page. Take a look at it. This is not the result of what we're paying for. So just to put everybody at put everybody's mind at ease. Rethinking Libraries found some specifically interesting parts of the study and some interesting parts of our library. They refer in the group to aspirational libraries, which they consider at the highest level, which they consider us. We have one of the lowest costs per capita of the group and of our peer groups in the area at $52 per citizen. We also have one of the largest usage rates defined as who comes in the door, how many people are actively using the library. Our turnover rates of materials, which is the average checkout per item per year, is over 5. They consider a good rate in the 2.4 to 2.5 range, so we are double that. And the overall community evaluation of our library is very favorable from what they've seen. So those are some of the overall items. When you're looking at the data and getting caught up in some of these comments, those are some of the things that we need to keep in mind. The group went through several exercises to clarify missions and duties of the library. During the discussion, there was a lot of talk about focusing on inspiring words, action words, things such as discovery, exploration, inspiration, growth, things that, compel people to the organization. But a lot of talk was done on that. In your package, you'll have the slides. They focused the mission statements in 3 areas. One is an area that's essentially a requirement of the library to play. In other words, things that all libraries do. Aspirational goals, which is the goals of where you want to be, where you want to focus. And then they also talked about how some libraries end up with accidental goals, goals that have just kind of evolved over time that you have to be aware of, that may be good or bad things in that evolution process. One of the comments, which I think is also in the second page of one of these, is a comment from Steve Jobs, the former head of Apple, which we also referred back to it several times during the session, basically talking about how your mission statement and your goals should be something that pulls your organization and is something that people aspire to, and that it pulls it forward, and that's the focus. We did focus quite a bit on staff, essentially identifying what the library can do effectively with the staff, recognizing the burnout and the issues that we discussed in our session, and also how to effectively communicate what we can and can't do to the public, where we are as far as that goes. We've also talked about seeking ways to leverage other sources of funding and contributions to library operations. And we also went through a visionary view of library operations. Essentially, we actually had a session where we assumed that we had unlimited funds. What would you do if you had no limitations? And that was quite interesting, and there's a number of things that are going to come of that. At each phase of the session, we went through inspirational words. We went through a session of dealing with how staff operates and our what-if scenarios. And in each session, we came up with a list of items. Rethinking Libraries did quite a bit of work, because we would come through with a list of 30 or 40 different little Post-it notes with ideas on it, and they would take those and consolidate them into groups. And then, similar to our retreat, we would vote on them with the little Post-its, each person getting a little Post-it note to handle those things. So then the lists were compiled and categorized. If you think you've got a lot of data in there, Rethinking Libraries went home with about 15 to 20 large sheets of paper with all our comments on it and those votes that they also have to combine with that data for the results. The results that we can expect are in the next steps, and that's a more concise plan and mission statement that we can present to the public in general. So it's not going to be this big, thick packet, but something much more concise and detailed. What it will include is they're going to come up with several options for mission statements that we can review and decide upon what fits us best. There'll be options for public mottos and messages, and a first cut of that strategic plan of what we're going to have, in our possession. They did set our expectations that it's going to take 4 to 5 weeks to get out. That puts us into April 18th to April 25th, which means we may or may not make the next meeting as far as having something solid. The plan currently is to first show that result to the core group that Julie has put together, that our folks, and there may also be a video call with the folks that participated in the retreat, so that we basically have some follow-up with the community. There is no scheduled revisit here from Rethinking Libraries. So there is no plan at this point for them to physically be back in Novi. And then after that, I would expect, they didn't detail this specifically, but I would suspect that we're 3 to 4 weeks of taking that plan and saying, here's the final, here's what you paid for. So we're probably looking at that at the end of May. And that's basically what we did the last 2 days from my perspective. Anybody else has any comments, you're welcome, and you go from there.
Okay, committee members. Okay,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah. No, that was a great summary, Trustee Bartlett. Oh, great summary. I felt like as if I'm going through the retreat again, so it was very good. So I have to say it was great working, together as a committee with Julie and team, getting to the point. It was, coming out of the retreat, it was much needed. It was very obvious that it was a much needed retreat. And in fact, the whole strategic planning itself much needed. Once again, thanks to Julie and staff for all the coordination and collaboration, like the whole facilitating, going back and forth with rethinking libraries and all the different, milestones. I would say personally, I did feel that rethinking libraries met the expectations and how they prepped us, the data, the different sessions, the findings before the retreat, and also even in the retreat, I felt really good about the whole guided sessions and so forth. And the data as well, I was happy to see really good data in sliced and diced, as well as benchmarks. That was also very good, supplement to see where we stand in terms of all the different, areas across different libraries. In fact, similar libraries, neighboring libraries, they had to come up with a new category because we were far more, different than, so neighboring, and then of course the aspiring libraries. And it was very, exciting to hear that we are one of the, we stood really out, out of all the libraries. Good representation, as Trustee Bartlett said, at the retreat, because there was a lot of voting. So we are very happy that we've got a fair voting, because we at the end came into some of the themes that got out of the retreat, and they also went through some of the samples or examples, which was great. So we could see how our final output will look like. And it will be more like the different areas we want to focus, along with goals and potential initiatives. So which is going to be great to talk through and see which ones would apply to us. So overall, I had a very good feeling. I'm so glad we did this, and I'm really looking forward to the actual execution now of the whole, and how this would actually overall cascade to the different committees as goals. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, Member Dooley.
Well, this was a great experience from beginning through the retreat. And I know as a trustee, this is the second strategic planning cycle that I've been through. When I first stepped on board, we went through one, but it was more internal. I think that the board made a wise decision upon the recommendation of the committee with rethinking libraries, just the way they've been handling the data and the steps. And obviously we're not done yet, so we'll see the final summary, but they really know what they're doing. And the guidance was pretty profound. And it uncovered a lot of different things that maybe would have never been seen had we not gone out to an outside strategic planning organization. And so I have to commend Julia, because she had that foresight to ask. And it was really important to her. So there was a lot of things uncovered. I think, when we finally get the results from rethinking libraries, Mark, I think you're going to really love it, but you're also going to maybe get emotional, because we're finding out that our staff is burning out. It's very overwhelming. So because we have the budget that we've had for a really, really long time, our staff, compared to libraries nearby, but any other libraries, and as you heard with Trustee Bartlett and Trustee Gurumurthy, we're considered an aspiring level. We're actually considered a star level, which means that we're on par with humongous libraries in communities with double, if not more than our actual budget. So we're performing at that level with what we have. And that's not exactly sustainable. So us as trustees, we're going to have to work with Julie and with her whole staff to come to the table with some solutions. So I know Trustee Sturg is really passionate about the staff. And so that's just something that we're going to be working on together after we get the results. And that was very striking. I feel really privileged to be a part of it. It really shows what Novi is all about. When we bring all these people from the community who are so invested in our library, but really they're also invested in education, we all came together because of that passion, and that was really great. And I know Kathy wanted to be there, but we would have had quorum, so we could. So eventually, but I think it was wonderful to see that participation. So I think we're going to be really happy, but also we're going to be learning a lot from those results, and we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And I really also hope that we're going to be able to get this in front of other city leadership too, so they understand the pain points. Because I guess we've been showing a brave face, but people really do also need to see the reality and the pain points that we've been facing too, so we can get more support.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah. One question I have for the committee is, at the retreat, were they given all the data that had been collected? So they were given the whole report that we had in our packet? Okay, so they got that
Well in
early
advance,
so
yeah.
they could look at it?
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
I just wondered.
oh, yes,
Email to everybody.
yep.
Rethinking Libraries has an email address of the entire group, so they can follow up, they can,
Oh, good.
on the retreat, there's a full email group from their perspective, and everybody has a valid email.
Great.
And about
Okay.
5 to 7 days prior to the retreat, the data started going out to the members that were participating in the retreat. We were continuing to send new things because this was the first time they had so much data that they probably could have used one more week, to be honest, but we wouldn't have known that, and we set
Yeah.
dates for March, but they probably could have used one more week. In order to really deliver everything in one packet, but it came in a few just to get it all out to everyone.
Okay.
And it's currently all that data, as well as the information you got tonight, all that, let me retract. The data that was being used for the strategic planning retreat, that's on the website currently, so this information that you have sitting, it will be put up. Dana's out until Saturday, but this will get up as links as well, because we asked, and Rethinking Libraries had no problem with it being shared, because we want to be very open to what these ideas and what's coming about from the data, but also from the retreat itself and the comments and the ways that things are being.
Well, I'm happy about the transparency. I mean, I don't want
Absolutely.
anybody to think we're doing something, in the back
Nope.
room or whatever.
No, I appreciate that from, sometimes consultants don't let you have all of that
Yeah.
because it's their work, right? But they had no problem with it being shared. You were sent some emails, including this, but I wanted to give you some, paper copies tonight, but you also have this as well. Staff's been given all of it. What was left from the retreat was a particular exercise where dots and Post-it notes and ideas, that stuff was then put into our staff lounge so that the staff could see it. So that got moved, even though it's going to be in, more information that'll come out. But staff got to see it. Information was explained to the staff, right away for them to just start looking at it and get an idea, and then, reach out to the members that were in the retreat or from the core group that can also help and answer questions. But we wanted to start giving them that data as well to keep them informed. I'd like, if you don't mind, to take a minute to first thank all of you, because
It's okay, keep smiling. Yeah. Do you want me to come back to you? No.
we needed this really bad. I loved doing internal ones. because they were easy to do. It's coming from a new building, but now I feel like we needed really those outside eyes, and we got that. I was very, very, very happy with the 2 days. We had some tough conversations. I mean, we all know that. And for me, here are some points. The staff is very much on my mind. There is burnout. There's communication improvements and staff investment that needs to be reinvested. Those are things that I see. Sorry. Technology, space, funding, and a positive way to say no, which I definitely shared with, I want to make sure we can do everything, and that's difficult. And I've built the culture for us to really try and say yes as much as possible, not realizing the taxing that it's taken on the staff. So I've pushed. I have no problem telling you that. Yeah. But now I've seen it since COVID and even a little before that, but it's taken its toll. So I have to rethink about, my way of saying no and how to improve that as well with the team. I have a wonderful team, but they are tired, and they are, unsure of things just because of it, because of the amount of work and stuff. And the staff shortage that I have shared with all of you is also then, exasperating that as well. So I echo Brian for the fact that, yes, it was nice to hear that we had amazing responses and results and stuff that, they never had. And that does tell you that you have a great library, and huge support from the community in order for it to continue to be a great library. Let's see. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to bring in the consultant. The money is, I think, very much well worth it. When I first came in and I pushed it early on with a new building, it was like, do we really need to put that money there? And we didn't. We had a lot we were going on from the new building, but this was definitely needed. And so thank you for investing in that with me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that having an outside company come in, I think at this time, even though, we have a few money issues, I think this is money well spent. Yes. Because the kind of information we're going to have, I think in the past we've sort of made assumptions based on the number of people coming to the library and everything, we've kind of based it on the internal stuff that we have. But this was much, much bigger and broader. Mm-hmm. We're hearing from people that don't come. Right. And people, we're hearing from a much wider audience, and they were really, really actively getting people to complete the survey. Plus, I think, my experience that has been with surveys, if you don't have a scientific approach to the kind of questions you're asking, mm-hmm. you're going to get some very poor data. You're not going to get good information. So I think having a professional organization was really important because they know the kind of questions that will get you good information back. Mm-hmm. That's the most critical thing. There's a science to it. There really 100%. Is a science to it. We can't just do it on our own, and I doubt if anybody, right. I don't want to make any assumptions about board right. members, but I doubt if any of you know that science and how to, I know that you're all well educated and all that, but still there's a science to this particular thing. And we really need, and there's a science once you get the data and how to evaluate what it says. Right. Because we can look at it and say, oh, that's sad, or that's really great. Everybody loves the library, so maybe we shouldn't change this or whatever. Right. That's the kind of assumptions we probably would have been making with this data. Right. So I think, they'll tell us what is beneath the kind of information that we got, what is real and what isn't.
And I also appreciate, their credibility. They understand libraries. They have been around and seen a number of different kinds of libraries too. They're attuned to the technology and pointing out things that aren't working and even the things that came up. We know that. They question some things like that. I just feel like we are getting really good feedback, data and then comparisons as well. So I appreciate that. too.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I do feel like they have really, so far, actually, they're exceeding my expectations. I guess I didn't, I mean, I've been part of strategic planning, but it's been a while, and I'm really happy to see, they're up on the trends, they're up on what's going on, they're up on, the things that libraries are dealing with, good and bad, and that's very helpful.
Good. Well, I'll ask Member Chair Curry and Mr. Stirring if you have anything, any comments that you wish to make, either if you had a chance to look through any of the information and what your, what your feelings are.
Well-
Okay, Trustee Stirring.
Well, first of all, thanks to the committee. I mean, this is excellent work that they put together and a lot of data here. I certainly haven't spent near the amount of time that the committee has spent on gathering this information, but just to comment that when the average response is about 2.5, and the response that we got in Novi was 5, to me, that almost says it all, that there's a lot of interested people who are participating, enjoying what they see, very concerned about the future. And to me, without knowing as much detail and all the little comments and all the things that went on at the retreats and so forth, just the fact that we got a 5 response when the average response
Yeah.
or good response is 2.5, it says it all for me. Thanks again to the committee for all their hard work.
Okay, Member Chair Curry.
Yeah, I mean, several things. One, let's get the most out of this study that we can.
Yes.
Based on
Yeah.
the response rate, it's gonna be a much higher price next time you go. So, and I do love the fact that you guys are putting the data first and letting us sort of swim with the data.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see where the consultants take us on that stuff. Just like Mark, I haven't had time to do the deep dive in this thing. I'm looking forward to it. Got a couple of long flights coming up, so. But just one thing you said, and I just want to caution, if you feel like this volume of data is stressing them, I strongly recommend you give them the time they need to put. And I just say that because in my quick glance, on page 22, they have a column duplicated. And then I was very surprised to see question 12 and 13, and I don't know. I'm just wondering if the response rate is flipped from what I would have. Those are 2 of the more commonly answered questions, and they have a large number skipped. So just make sure they're not, I mean, to me, if they need time on the deadline or whatever, I think
Oh, right,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen when you're in it,
yeah.
and we bury them in data here. This is,
Yeah, that's a lot.
next time they'll give you like a 4-question survey.
Yeah, it's a lot more
And
than
the
they
other one is
anticipated.
I am especially appreciative that, Julie, the culture you've created, that people are receptive to being looked at from the outside.
Yeah,
That's the hardest thing. Right?
yeah, absolutely.
And I say that because we have great staff here, and if I ask their opinion in isolation, I think I get 85% of what any great idea is going to be out there.
Right.
Maybe even 95. But they're interested in finding out what they don't know as well, and that's pretty good.
Right, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I will say too that this information should be shared maybe in a special meeting with the city, not only city council, but with the staff of the city, because a lot of it has implications for their future planning too. A lot of the comments about community should really be shared with the city so that they have additional information.
So I'm happy to tell you that both Victor Cardenas and Tracy Ringel from Parks and Rec were in our retreat. So they
good.
have the data, Victor has it, and I will work with him to see, how much, I told him, go ahead and share it with council, but how much he wants and stuff. And then another really good idea that came up is finding a time, whether, couple things. I don't know if it's in budget, I can't remember, I have to look back to our details with what we're working with Rethinking Libraries on, but I think it would be very beneficial to bring them back to, talk about to all of you as a board, but invite city council members to that meeting and people from the public and stuff, to have them share it and have it come from our consultants. It's not to say that I can't share it, but I think it goes a long way when it comes from the consultants giving that feedback and dialing into things from the report that I think will be good for them to hear and share, from their perspective to you as board members, but also our council. When city council does their citizen survey, every couple of years. That consultant comes in and actually presents to them to give that information to them. And I think that says also goes to credibility and just, the work they do and what they see and what they can provide to you from a higher level. So that might be worth it. I don't believe we have that in to bring them back. Or maybe they can video something where they can provide that information, but then you don't get that live Q&A back either. But I just want to put that out there to the board, that this would be worth a sharing in that capacity.
The city also is facing some challenges.
Yes.
They're out there looking for a city manager,
Yep.
and they're planning for other, making some major decisions about the police department, the building itself, and about senior services and that. So this information will really give them a good base of information about what people are thinking.
Yep.
What people that they maybe don't ever have an opportunity to hear from.
I agree. And it'll
so-
also then let them know too that, if funding from the library's perspective is something to be considered, that they will, I hope then hear that, we're one of that small pocket along with Parks and Rec and, the police and fire and stuff that would be included in that as we are one of the destination places in the community as well.
Yeah. Anybody else have any other comments about it? Okay, well, I know
Thank
that
you.
we'll still be talking about it for quite a while. So overall, I will say that it appears that the vast majority of respondents really feel that Novi Public Library is a gem, that was a word that was used, and a sanctuary to many residents. But they also gave us some insight into ways that we can improve. So, we'll look at those things in the future. So I want to draw your attention to pages 19 and 21. Now, you'll probably need magnifying glasses to look at it, but like I did. But 1921, because this is data from the National Community Survey Report, and it's the results. And I want to share with you that I hope you had a chance to take a look at it, this national survey. We aren't really in competition with the city departments, but I can't help but mention that of all of the city departments and all the services that the city offers, the Novi Library ranked the highest of 97%. Police and fire were the closest next to us with the 91, 94, 91%. But when you look at the information also on page 20 and 21, you'll see that once again, Novi Library ranked the very highest in education, arts, and culture. We were once again, on the second page there, 97%. The next highest was grades K through 12, education. So congratulations certainly are in order once again to all staff. And this is national recognition, which is really, it's something that we didn't really try for. We just submitted information and everything. But this speaks volumes too about what the public thinks in this national survey. This is probably a different cohort of people that are involved in this survey, and they think the library is the best around here. So while we're not in the competition, I think it's good that we got first place. So there.
I just a little bit of point of clarification. It's called the national survey because the city does it every couple of years, and they do benchmark for other communities across the nation. It was specifically, though, to Novi for the library standing out as 97%, and thank you, I agree. And what I'm also proud of is we've improved. If you look on page 19, when they first started doing it in 1998 to now 2022, we've improved. Yeah, most years the library has gone up. We had a little dip, and I do attribute that. It was it was 70s and 80s. And that was with the new building, coming about. But I think that says a lot about how we continue, that our community, when they do this, as I understand it, there's, I think, 200 surveys that go out into the community for people to provide the information. You don't know who those 200 people are that get it, but then they fill it out, and they're they're rating the city's services altogether, right? So that's 200 people out of the community, and then this is what they're saying about the library, and I think that's great. I do.
And each department, too, is asked to submit their, their information and everything about what their services are and all
Right.
that. Because even the Historical Commission had to submit their piece of information and how we interface with the library and that kind of
For
thing.
budgets
So,
and stuff,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's just another a little bit of recognition that I think is really important and very telling, and it's a different cohort that's agreeing with everything that we're finding out. So anyway, March is reading month, and so March 24th, that's tomorrow, we are going to be guest readers at Novi Woods Elementary. So it's trustees Crawford, Dooley, Gurumurti, and Stirring. So I hope you all had a chance to pick up your books at the first floor information desk. So I think taking 2 books is probably going to be good because you can probably read 2 stories. I've already got mine, and I shared some with Member Stirring. So we'll be meeting at Novi Woods at 1. I would ask each one of you to make sure you wear your pin so you can be clearly identified by name. And our names have already been submitted to the school. But anyway, you'll each have the bookmarks that you can share with the students too. So wish you all the best of luck. You'll probably get an opportunity to have them ask you some questions. Maybe they've been primed, to ask something about the library, but they probably will ask you if you have a dog, because that's a question I got more frequently than anything when I was a state rep and I went to read, does your husband know where you are, stuff like that. So, nothing was really related to the state representative or the state government, really, for the most part. So it's such a fun thing to read the elementary schools. I might mention also that Novi Woods, I can't believe this because my children went to Novi Woods Elementary, but Novi Woods is already starting to plan their 50th anniversary, and the Historical Commission has asked to be on the committee to help with the planning of it. And their first principal, Roy Williams, is still alive, and he's 104 maybe? He is 100.
Wow.
First principal of Novi Woods Elementary. So that should be a fun event, but it's 3 years in the planning, so I'm not sure how long I'll be able to be on the committee. We might all be dead before it happens, actually, but who knows? We'll see. But I just thought I'd let you know now, just in case I'm no longer with you at that time. So anyway.
President Crawford, if I could just do a plug for Mr. Asher, who's the principal at Novi Woods. I just want to thank him for giving us the opportunity to reach out tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm glad he asked us. That was great. Maybe he had some prompting. I don't know.
He did.
Okay. That's okay. You should be out there promoting us.
I
we're
am.
good readers. We're good
But
readers,
he was
hopefully.
very happy to accept my ask.
Yeah, good. Board elections are coming up. Next meeting, we will have a slate provided. Is that correct? Okay. Our secretary will be providing a slate, but the only way he's going to provide a slate is if you board members turn in your agreement to be an officer on the board. So get your names in to Secretary Bartlett. Are you going to have
I'll be sending an
date?
email with a deadline because it has to be in the next packet.
Okay. So you all know, you'll be getting his email, and I would like for you each to consider taking an office. I mean, I think it's great experience, and you have such power. You can't even believe how much power you have. You don't even know. So after the election next month, the library board president will be assigning board members to committees. I ask you to think about it, but actually it's the president assigning committees. So you might indicate to whoever the president is your agreement or your wish or desire to be on a certain committee. And then those committees will be announced in May. So we're not going to be announcing committees in April because that's when we're going to have our elections. And then in May, the committees will be announced. So the May 25th meeting also is going to involve discussion relating to our fine-free status. You might want to look back in some of the discussion that we've had in the past to kind of refresh your mind about the fine-free. And I'm hoping we'll get some additional information before that meeting regarding
the policy
free-
committee will,
yeah.
the policy committee will meet, yes.
Okay.
There's data
Okay.
that, the only thing that we need is some data that we said that we would look back on.
Okay.
I would like to ask, would you want some responses and some input from the staff? Because I can collect that if,
Sure.
as it relates to
Yeah.
just the staff itself and how it's been.
Sure.
Okay, I will do
Yeah.
that and put that ask out and ask for it, and then I can put it in the packet so
I
people.
think that would be helpful.
I will tell the staff, they can identify themselves or be anonymous, but I'll collect it and then have it available and put it in the packet.
Okay, good.
Okay? Okay.
And I know that in this data, there were some comments about it also. Some people desired that to continue. So on another note, in case you weren't watching the city council meeting like some of us do, on Monday, there were 8 candidates there, 8 candidates who applied for appointment to the library. I mean, that's a lot of people, and they had great credentials. So I'm confident that someone from that group is going to be selected at the council meeting, at their next council meeting, which is going to be Monday, April 3rd. So we should have a new member in place by the next meeting that we have. So the chair will no longer be empty. We'll have someone sitting, we'll have a body in there. So anyway, that's all of my lengthy report. I think we've covered just about everything and then some. So we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Member Chiricuri.
Well, things are going as steady as they are. So see, total February spending is down, but that's because there's a lot of one-time expenses that hit in January. We're tracking kind of as we 60%, I believe it's 60% of our expenditures thus far, which puts us right again on the monthly thing, given the variation. Yeah, that's kind of it.
That's about it? Okay.
Without reading lots of numbers.
Any questions? Comments about the treasurer's report? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the director's report.
Thank you very much. So on page 33, we have staff anniversaries coming up, and that for April, Brian Carter, he is our systems administrator in our information technology department, and he is going to be celebrating 1 year. And then Arome Park, she's in our support services department, specifically in technical services with processing and of materials, and she is also celebrating 1 year. I provided for you some information about the On the Road Frankenmuth. We are bringing that back. It's been on hiatus because of COVID, but we tried it in the fall and didn't get a real good response yet. I don't know if that was still some people with concerns of it,
Yeah.
but now here we are spring trying that. I know that we're not 100% full yet, so if there is someone watching us tonight and interested, you have a couple more weeks to register and participate. So we hope that you do. These trips have been planned and they're always wonderful. Gail Anderson, our programming coordinator, does a great job making sure that when you go on this trip, you are experiencing education, entertainment, food, a little bit of time for yourself to maybe shop or even explore. So she does a great job putting together a whole day for the cost. Usually this is a fundraiser. I don't know if we'll actually hit that. We might just cover costs this time just to get it going. We wouldn't want to have to cancel it, but we always have a number 2 that if we don't hit it, it might have to be canceled just because it then is a loss to the library. We wouldn't want that either. So, but I do encourage anyone, Frankenmuth is always a great place, and there's a historical tour that's part of it, and I think people will really enjoy it. So I hope that if people are interested. Just to, echo from strategic planning, if you look on page 36, we got a great article that ended up being in the Detroit News about us doing strategic planning, so I wanted to include that in there for you. I'm happy to take any questions as it comes to the reports that are involved in the packet, if any of you have any.
Anybody have any questions or for the director? Yes?
Just real quick, I saw that Shannon went to a special event with the Japanese consulate.
Yes.
And she represented us, and I love that. She's such a dynamo. She's very energetic.
She is.
But
She's made a wonderful relationship with them.
Yeah, and I'm
Yes.
super excited. And they said that they were very complimentary about our collection, so that was really good. But what I was wanting to know a little bit more about, and maybe we can learn more later, is what the staff learned when they went to the Hawk makerspace?
Oh, sure.
Like comparatively to our iCube?
Okay.
I'm super curious.
Okay, absolutely. I've heard very positive things, so they had put some information together. Let me see if I can pull back a
Okay.
little report for you.
It'd be
Absolutely.
exciting to hear what their thoughts
Sure.
were.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's it for me.
Well, I just have a little question about the Wi-Fi. Are we okay now?
We
I
are,
mean, what happened?
we are back up. So we've got a server that only the Wi-Fi was on, and unfortunately, that was, it was older equipment. We will need to do a replacement, but I first have TLN, who is our consortium and where we work with our Wi-Fi. They were out this week to do an assessment of what we need to do some upgrades for that. And then I'll be bringing some costs to you. But, so we do have the Band-Aid, for now. It's up and running and it doesn't seem to be having any issues, but we are going to have to do some upgrades. And it hasn't been upgraded since the new building, so we're talking
Oh,
12
wow.
years that that the equipment, yes, so has been working, so.
Wow. Well, if we
Yes.
get enough IT specialists on our board here, maybe we can get somebody, some extra help.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we uncovered that with our new people. So I'm glad that we have some new expertise in the building for helping with that as well.
Okay.
Right, and, and let me say one thing, we never wanted things to run out, right, and have it break on us, but we also looked at, could we get the best out of it for it and not necessarily replace if it was doing well? Maybe that's not always the best thing to do too. I think sometimes you might have to just go with the upgrade and know that you're gonna move forward with something too.
Oh, one thing I meant to mention, it's not really part of your director's report, but I have to say it because I'm old and I'll forget it if I don't say it now.
Sure.
Historical Commission, I just wanted to tell you, the Historical Commission, actually for the first time, we are having the Michigan Historical Society that puts on an annual conference. It's going to be in Novi this weekend.
Yep.
So for the first time, we were trying to talk to them, some of the planners in the past, to get them to do it in Novi, but they didn't. It was always in Sterling Heights or somewhere far away. And they also have one in the Upper Peninsula, and that's a little hard for us to get to. But it's their annual conference, and there will be people coming from all over. In fact, Governor Snyder's coming in to speak, and there will be a number of people that will be doing workshops. And if they're going to have it again next year, we're hoping that that we'll be able to be presenters on some of a topic that maybe Wall Lake Amusement Park or something like that, we can be presenters as well. So it's going to be this weekend. It'll be Friday and Saturday, so there will be people in town that are going to be here for the convention and staying at the hotel right there at Suburban Collection. So just wanted to let you know before I forgot that we'll be attending the conference, many of us.
And we have
on the
staff that are
commission.
also going as well.
Yes, right. Okay, it's time for our second public comment, and where is the public? Unless they're laying down, I don't see anyone. So I guess I won't say my whole speech about public comment unless somebody comes rushing in, and then I'm giving it time. So no, I don't see anyone, so we'll move along. Committee reports. So I don't know how many of you had a chance to meet yet. I know our committee member, the HR committee, is going to be meeting in April, and so many of you will be having meetings coming up. So anybody wish to talk about their committee meeting? Any findings, any things? Okay.
Just really
Julie?
quick for events marketing and fundraising, as far as events go, the whole board was present for the State of the City. So I wanted to make sure that that was noted with staff as well. So that was really fun.
Not the whole board, just your four.
Well,
right.
yeah, but it's a,
OMA.
it's,
You could attend.
Yeah.
you can, we didn't talk about
be a
city
highlight.
business.
make sure.
No, that's not against OMA.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not against, that's fine.
And I appreciated all of you being there.
We didn't talk about business, so we're good.
We went for the speech and the cannoli.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're allowed to do that. But that was really good. And then the other thing that I want to mention on page, where are my notes? 68. So a couple things that are coming up that I don't think I ended up putting in the report. The Friends of the Novi Library, the Friends are doing a big fundraiser coming up in April, and that's going to be the special, should I call it Giving Tree? Giving Tree.
Yes.
It's going to be a beautiful installation. They're prepping for a celebration. I think they put down the tentative date for April 28th for the unveiling
Hold on, I can check it
in
for
their
you.
notes.
I believe it is the last Sunday, it's the 23rd.
23rd. Okay,
Sunday,
thank
April
you. Sorry.
23rd. You're welcome.
23rd.
Yep.
So I just wanted to let the board know, and then possibly members of the public if they want to come.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
support our friends, because they're amazing.
And it's coinciding with an actual concert that Gail is having that day to kick off National Library Week as well. So I expect there'll be a really good attendance, but we wanted people to be around and available for that as well.
And I think they wanted to put it because of Arbor Day, too. It was
They
like,
were, well, that was May, and they were trying to,
Okay.
trying to get towards, yeah.
okay.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then we had our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting where Trustee Gurumuthi presented a draft of this amazing tool. I'm not putting pressure on you, but it really was. It was above and beyond what we wanted to present to the board. So probably in the next couple of months before the next budget year, you're probably going to see it. But basically, it was an accumulation of a whole bunch of resources for all of us to kind of look at under the DEI lens and umbrella. And Trustee Crawford, President Crawford, gave us an article to look over. So the next time we meet as a committee, we're going to be discussing that article. So thank you for sharing that with us. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All righty then. Okay, moving right along then, we do have one matter for library board action. This is the operating agreement between the Novi Public Library and the Friends of the Novi Public Library. And it's on page 70 to 73. So first of all, I'll ask you for a motion to approve. Member Guru Murthy wants to make that motion, I can tell. And Member Julie would like to make a second.
I would like to make a second, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. All right, I just wanted to say Guru Murthy one more time.
Need to practice.
All right, now, discussion, and maybe Director Farkas, you
Sure.
can sort of fill us in on this.
I'd be happy to. We've had an operating agreement with the Friends for
Is
a
it like a
number of years.
memorandum of agreement or something?
Same thing, memorandum
Okay.
of understanding, operating agreement, yep, same principle. We've had it for a number of years. It was time just to relook at it with our Friends group, and there were minimal changes. I mean, very minimal changes, which is why I didn't bring it to policy and then, do you know what I mean, to waste the time, but just bring it all to you. They are wonderful to work with. You know, they just had their Friends of Michigan Libraries meeting, their annual meeting, and it was held at Novi. We hosted it last week, Friday. I think they had about 40 people in the room from different
great.
Friends groups across the state. Sturgeon, I mean, they came from West Side and
Wow.
yes, to our meeting. It was scheduled earlier in the month, but weather, and so it got rescheduled. But this is something Claire Membiela, who is the Library of Michigan attorney, she serves that role. She actually spoke at their meeting, and this is something that, you know, she encourages for libraries to have with their Friends groups. So this is nothing new, but it's a good way to just show, you know, the communication and the sharing and also the support, you know, from library to the Friends to the library. So, like I said, minimal changes. I agree with all of this language that, you know, that they've made some recommendations on, and it's just a great piece to have in place for how we operate. You know, our Friends are very much an established group, and I think they work at a high level. Kudos to Sue Johnson and her team, Carol Hoffman and Carol Newman. I could name a number. Those are the three that I tend to see faces on. Marilyn Amberger, you know, the most, Evelyn Catacomo. But I feel like I'm giving a Grammy speech or something, so sorry. But they are fabulous, and they are working with us and with Dana, our liaison, on a regular basis. And this is just this is just a testament to that, truly. Any
Okay.
questions that I can help you when it comes to
Okay,
this?
any discussion? Nope. Seeing none, we don't want to certainly say anything bad about it. Memorandum of agreement with the Friends when they give us so much money and everything and support. So
We're giving them just another one.
love our
They had
library
one key, now
friends.
they need two.
we
They
love
can
our
have
library
keys.
friends. Okay. All right then. So we have a motion and a second. So I'll have you call the roll.
Trustee Stirring,
Yes.
trustee Bartlett votes yes, trustee Chair Curry,
Yes.
trustee Crawford,
Yes.
trustee Dooley,
Yes.
trustee Gurumurti.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. I'll be happy to share that with Sue
Okay.
and with
yeah.
Dana.
Well, you never know. I mean,
Yep.
maybe we aren't going to be here, or maybe you're not going to be here sometime. You need something
You
in
do.
writing that says it's official, that
Yes.
that we support each other.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I think that's good. One thing before we adjourn, I wanted to point out, I've given you each one of these flyers for this USO Canteen event coming up on Saturday, June 10th. And it's the first time we've done something like this. It's really going to be music from the 40s, big band era kind of thing. My silent generation will love this, and the World War II generation will especially know all the music and everything. So there is going to be can you believe this, here at the library, or at the library anyway, there'll be a 17-piece band and the ABC Sisters, which would be sort of our version of the Andrews Sisters, and it'll be a tribute act. And Bob Hope style comedy. I don't know who's going to do that.
I was about to ask, who's the Bob Hope
I don't
style?
know. I don't know who it is.
Who is that?
And then there'll be
does a great
food.
job.
We always have food and giveaways. And for the first time ever, too, I recommended that the Historical Commission donate some money toward this event, because we feel like this is something that really is right in our ballpark. It's in our lane, historical in nature, because the USO, of course, has been an organization serving servicemen throughout, maybe not World War I, but certainly World War II, and is still serving, And so you'll probably notice we're going to be doing the display cabinet on the first floor. We'll be putting up a display, and then, of course, Historical Commission members will be helping to serve and work with, I think we gave a donation of $500
Believe
toward
so,
the
yes.
event. First time ever, so, if you see Historical Commission members, they're all pretty old like me, so you'll notice them. You'll say, thank you so much for supporting the library this way, because it is helping us get this band and the food.
Right.
But one thing that's going to be special about it, that's different than any other event that we've had, is that we're asking the public then, it's little print down at the bottom, to upload, email any of their military pictures that are going to be pictures, military-related photos, to Gail Anderson, and that's her email address, by 5:15 to have them included in a collage that is going to be on display. I was telling her that I did an event with the senior center once before, and I had all the members bring pictures of themselves from the 40s, and many of them, men and women, were in military uniform. And they really loved sharing their picture and talking a little bit. It's really a great time to reminisce and everything. So that does make it even more special. So pictures of them in the military. So if you weren't in the military, I give a picture of myself from the 40s, but it's like a baby picture. I could do it. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. So I guess at this point, if there's no other business to come before us, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Member Stirring, you probably want to do that, right?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay. And Member Chair Curry, you probably want a second.
I would love to.
Okay. All right then. And here's where we're going to change things. I am going to ask for a voice of acclamation then that we adjourn. Now, there's no discussion about it. There's no discussion, right? So all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Good. Meeting
Thank you.
adjourned.